What if your greatest source of power wasn't external, money, followers, or influence, but internal? What if the most effective weapon you could wield in a chaotic world was focus? Not just any focus, but ruthless, strategic self-focus. Welcome to a journey unlike any other. In this powerful 6,000-word masterclass, we will dive deep into a principle so sharp, so potent, and so often misunderstood. It has shaped emperors, CEOs, military commanders, and perhaps, after today, you. Inspired by the cold-blooded brilliance of Niccolo Machiavelli, this lesson explores how self-focus, properly understood, becomes a psychological and strategic superpower. Most people hear Machiavelli's name and think manipulation, betrayal, cold ambition. But that's only half the story. Beneath the surface of the prince lies a brutal but clear-eyed philosophy. The world is ruled by those who control themselves first. This is Machiavelli's coldest and most practical rule, unspoken but ever present. It's not about stepping on others. It's about stepping into the highest version of yourself, disciplined, sharp, untouchable. This lesson isn't just theory. It's a modern mental training manual, combining Renaissance wisdom with psychological science, historical context, and real-life application. Whether you're chasing career success, clarity in relationships, or mastery over your inner world, this lesson will give you tools to sharpen your mind, shield your emotions, and build an unshakable inner fortress. We've structured the lesson into 6 powerful sections. Each one is a stepping stone, building a complete framework for integrating self-focus into your daily life. Think of it as a war plan for the mind, where clarity replaces chaos and power begins with precision, ready to stop being pulled in 1,000 directions and start pulling your life into alignment. Understanding Machiavelli's philosophy. Who was Niccolo Machiavelli? Born in 1469, Machiavelli lived in a world soaked in betrayal, ambition, and shifting alliances. As a Florentine diplomat and political theorist, he watched empires rise and fall not through virtue, but through strategy. His most famous work, The Prince, was a survival guide for rulers in ruthless times. Machiavelli wasn't preaching morality. He was preaching mastery. He believed the path to power lay not in ideals, but in understanding how the world really works, and then using that knowledge with cold efficiency. Though he never stated it outright, one of his most foundational principles is this: self-focus is power. If you can't control your mind, your priorities, your emotions, you'll be controlled by someone else's. Why self-focus is a weapon. In a world of manipulation and noise, self-focus is a blade that cuts through distraction. Machiavelli understood that power doesn't just come from armies or allies. It begins with internal control, like a general sharpening his sword before battle. You must sharpen your own mind before stepping into any conflict, negotiation, or decision. Psychologically, this principle aligns with modern research. Psychologist Albert Bandura introduced the concept of self-efficacy, the belief in your ability to direct outcomes. Self-focus builds that belief. When your energy is not scattered but laser-focused, your confidence becomes unshakable. Self-focus versus selfishness. Many recoil at the idea of prioritizing themselves. Isn't that selfish? Machiavelli would scoff at that question. To him, the difference was simple. Selfishness harms others. Self-focus protects you. It's the mindset of a leader who says, "I'm not here to please everyone. I'm here to fulfill my purpose." True power doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being aligned. Historical context. A ruthless world. To fully understand self-focus, imagine Renaissance Italy, a land of backroom deals, assassinations, and power plays. One of Machiavelli's idols, Cesare Borgia, ruthlessly eliminated threats while building loyal alliances. He wasn't cold for cruelty's sake. He was cold for clarity. He stayed focused on his mission, and nothing swayed him. Machiavelli admired this, not because it was pretty, but because it worked. And that's the core of this rule. When the world is noisy and unpredictable, self-focus is how you hold your ground. The psychology of self-focus power begins in the mind, and in the battle for mental clarity and control, self-focus is your frontline defense. Machiavelli understood that the greatest enemies to power are not always external. They're internal: distraction, emotional reactivity, insecurity, and the constant craving for approval. Mastering these is what makes self-focus not just a strategy, but a science-backed superpower. Let's go deeper into the psychological framework that underpins this principle, and how you can weaponize it to gain control over your thoughts, emotions, and decisions. The science behind self-focus. Modern psychology confirms what Machiavelli intuited centuries ago. Our attention is limited and precious. In his groundbreaking research, Daniel Kahneman, author of Thinking Fast and Slow, revealed how human attention functions like a spotlight: narrow, powerful, and easily drained. When you allow others to constantly redirect that spotlight through drama, gossip, validation seeking, or fear, you lose the clarity required for decisive action. This is why self-focus is a performance multiplier. It's not about shutting out the world, it's about filtering it. You train your brain to zero in on what matters and discard what doesn't. This is cognitive warfare, and your mind is the battlefield. Reflection point. Where is your attention being pulled right now? Are those distractions building your vision or breaking it? Emotional regulation and self-focus. Machiavelli's ideal leaders didn't act out of emotion. They acted out of strategy. They stayed composed in the face of betrayal, pressure, and loss. Why? Because emotional reactivity is weakness disguised as passion. In modern psychology, Dr. James Gross of Stanford University has extensively studied emotional regulation. The ability to manage your emotional responses so they serve, not sabotage, your goals. People with strong regulation skills don't suppress emotions. They channel them. They don't erupt. They respond. This is self-focus in action. When you prioritize your mission over your mood, you reclaim control. Example: imagine receiving harsh criticism. The unfocused mind reacts defensively, emotionally. The self-focused mind pauses and asks, does this help me grow, or is this noise? The decision to respond or not is power. The role of self-awareness. Self-focus starts with self-awareness. If you don't know who you are, what you value, fear, or want, you'll be easy to manipulate. Machiavelli famously advised rulers to know themselves as intimately as they knew their enemies. Today, psychologists call this metacognition. Thinking about your thinking. It's the skill that allows you to step outside your thoughts and analyze them like a strategist reviewing battle plans. Tools like journaling, mindfulness, and self-assessment frameworks help build this awareness. We'll walk through a daily 5-minute reflection method. What did I focus on today? What distracted me? Did I act on my values or someone else's? What will I do differently tomorrow? This simple ritual becomes a mirror, and over time, a weapon. Avoiding the trap of external validation. In The Prince, Machiavelli warns rulers not to seek the approval of the masses. Why? Because public opinion is fickle. Today's praise becomes tomorrow's criticism. If your sense of worth is outsourced, your mental power is on lease. Social psychology backs this up. Studies show that the need for external validation increases anxiety, reduces autonomy, and leads to burnout. You become reactive, constantly adjusting yourself to win others' approval. Self-focused individuals, on the other hand, build their identity on internal validation. Their compass is set to their own values, not others' opinions. Example: a professional who turns down an unaligned job offer, even if it's high paying, because it doesn't serve their deeper goals. That's not arrogance. That's clarity. Reflection point: whose opinion are you working so hard to impress? And is it costing you your peace? The battlefield of the mind. Think of your mind like a fortress. Every notification, expectation, or emotional tug of war is a potential breach. Without discipline, you become occupied territory, ruled by the demands of others. Machiavelli believed that defense starts within, and science now shows that those who train their focus, regulate their emotions, and cultivate self-awareness outperform others across every field, from leadership to athletics to creative work. But this isn't about becoming a machine. It's about becoming intentional, focused, fierce, alive. Practical tools for psychological self-focus. Here are a few battle-tested strategies to embed self-focus into your daily mental practice. Mental clarity ritual. Each morning, write down your top 1 to 3 priorities. Ask yourself, if I only did these, would my day still be a success? Stick to them. Trigger mapping. Identify 3 emotional triggers that commonly derail you, e.g., criticism, uncertainty, comparison. For each, write a focused response plan. Validation. Detox. Choose 1 week to intentionally refrain from seeking praise or feedback. Focus only on internal benchmarks. Observe how your confidence shifts. Focus fast. Pick 1 hour a day with no digital distractions, no phone, no tabs, no input, just one output goal. This will train your mind like a muscle. Self-focus is not something you have, it's something you build. Like Machiavelli's greatest strategists, you must develop an inner architecture so solid that external chaos can't shake it. The mechanics of self-focus. Self-focus is not an abstract virtue. It's a system, a practice, a weapon you must sharpen with intent. Machiavelli knew that power didn't belong to those who simply wished for it. It belonged to those who built the mechanisms to defend, grow, and wield it. In this section, we break self-focus down into actionable mechanics. Not vague motivation, but the tools, strategies, and boundaries that form the inner infrastructure of powerful people. Defining your core objectives. You can't focus on everything, and that's the point. Machiavelli's greatest lesson was clarity of purpose. His leaders didn't try to be everything to everyone. They set one objective: survive, expand, dominate, and aligned every decision around that goal. Your first task: identify your core objectives. These are not wishes, they are non-negotiables, the things that, if neglected, erode your potential. We recommend the 3x3 method. Short-term goals, 30 to 90 days. Tactical specific targets, e.g., complete a course, build a fitness habit. Midterm goals, 6 to 12 months. Broader achievements, e.g., change careers, relocate, launch a business. Long-term goals, 3+ years. Visionary direction, e.g., financial independence, writing a book, mastering a craft. Write these out. Revisit them weekly. Decision fatigue fades when your vision is precise. Reflection point. What are you working toward that actually matters to you? Not your parents, not your peers, not society. Setting boundaries. You can't build power if your time, energy, and attention are constantly invaded. Machiavelli warned leaders against overextending favors, allegiances, or resources. Why? Because every yes to someone else is a potential no to yourself. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They protect your focus from being hijacked by other people's urgencies. Try this framework. Physical. I don't check emails after 7 p.m. Emotional. I'm not available to fix others' crises at the cost of my peace. Mental. I avoid debates that don't serve my growth. Here's a sample script. Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm prioritizing my focus on insert goal right now. It's respectful, firm and Machiavellian in its efficiency. Boundaries feel uncomfortable at first, but over time, they become the guardrails of greatness. Strategic detachment. Emotional entanglement is the enemy of clear thinking. Machiavelli advised rulers to remain emotionally detached, not unfeeling, but uncontrolled. Modern psychology echoes this in the form of detached mindfulness, the ability to observe your feelings without being ruled by them. In practice, this means you don't chase validation after rejection. You don't spiral after criticism. You don't make emotional decisions in negotiations. Strategic detachment allows you to keep your eye on the bigger game. You see moves ahead. You respond, not react. Case study. A mid-level manager is being undermined by a colleague. Instead of confronting them emotionally, they shift focus to results, outperforming through measurable success. They win influence not by confrontation, but by quiet execution. Remember, detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means composure. Time management, as tactical self-defense time, is the currency of focus. Spend it carelessly, and your goals go bankrupt. Machiavellian power players understood that time must be allocated like territory, strategically and defensively. You must defend your calendar like a king defends his castle. Try these methods, the Pomodoro technique. Work in focused 25-minute sprints with 5-minute breaks. This trains your mind to stay sharp and resist drift. The Eisenhower matrix. Divide tasks into 4 categories. Urgent plus important. Do now. Important but not urgent. Schedule it. Urgent but not important. Delegate or minimize. Not urgent or important. Eliminate. Create a time audit for 1 week. Track how you spend every hour. Identify. Time. Sinks. Excessive scrolling, meaningless meetings, multitasking. Energy zones. Times when you're naturally most productive. Reallocate your peak energy to your core objectives. Guard it like a fortress. Reflection point. What would your schedule look like if it reflected your top priorities, not your inbox or others' expectations? The 3-lens model for focused decision-making. Every powerful person has a decision filter, a mental tool to prevent distractions and impulsive commitments. Try this. Before saying yes to any task, opportunity, or invitation, ask, does this align with my top 3 goals? Will this move the needle in the next 30 days? Am I doing this from clarity or from guilt or FOMO? If the answer is unclear or no, say no. This isn't selfish, it's strategic. Every yes dilutes your focus. Guard your decisions with the precision of a chess player eyeing the end game, building your fortress of focus. Let's be clear, self-focus isn't something you practice once. It's a structure you build, reinforce, and live within. Here's how to reinforce it daily. Morning mindset ritual. Begin each day reviewing your 3x3 goals. Pick one priority that must move forward. Daily closure. Reflection. End the day asking, did I protect my focus today? If not, where did the breach occur? Weekly fortress review. Every Sunday, review your boundaries, time use, and mental energy. Adjust the defense accordingly. Over time, this becomes not a habit, but a way of life. Self-focus is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about becoming a leader, not just of people, but of yourself. You don't wait for focus, you build it. And once built, it changes everything. In the next section, we take this framework into the real world. You'll see how self-focus empowers every part of your life, from your career to your relationships, and how to stay sharp, composed, and unshakable when the stakes get high. Because when you focus on you, the world starts to bend. Applying self-focus in modern life. Self-focus isn't just a mindset, it's a strategy for life, a powerful one. Whether you're navigating the chaos of the corporate world, managing complex relationships, or striving for personal growth, self-focus becomes your compass. It keeps you clear when the world tries to blur your vision. Machiavelli's genius wasn't just in identifying abstract rules of power, it was in applying them. He believed theory without action was useless. Now, it's your turn to bring his coldest rule into modern life. Let's explore how self-focus transforms four core areas: career, relationships, personal growth, and conflict navigation. Self-focus in career, advance with precision. In the workplace, the most effective individuals aren't those who say yes to everything. They're the ones who align their daily actions with long-term objectives, who know exactly what they're building and refuse to get lost in noise. Machiavelli admired leaders who didn't hesitate to make tough decisions for the sake of their mission. In modern terms, this means being strategic, not reactive. Example: a professional aiming for a leadership role doesn't waste energy trying to win every coworker's approval. Instead, they build credibility through performance. They document their results. They make their value undeniable, quietly but powerfully. Try this: keep a weekly achievement tracker. Note completed projects, quantifiable results, positive feedback. Schedule monthly self-reviews. Ask, am I spending most of my time on tasks that elevate my value? Identify what success looks like 1 year from now. Then reverse engineer your quarterly priorities. Self-focus in career equals results over recognition. Vision over validation. Self-focus in relationships. Love without losing yourself. People often think self-focus and strong relationships can't coexist. But here's the truth. You cannot show up for others until you fully show up for yourself. Machiavelli taught the importance of selective alliances, choosing relationships that strengthen your position, not sabotage it. While modern relationships aren't political maneuvers, the principle still applies. Surround yourself with people who amplify your purpose, not those who drain your energy. This doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means creating a foundation where your boundaries are respected, your priorities aren't constantly compromised, your identity isn't swallowed by others' needs. Example: you're dating someone who demands constant reassurance, derailing your focus. A self-focused response isn't to ghost them, it's to communicate clearly. I care about you, but I need space to grow toward my goals. Let's talk about what balance looks like. We'll call this assertive empathy, the ability to remain kind while fiercely guarding your path. Also important, learn to spot energy vampires, those who feed off your attention but never fuel your growth. Make conscious choices about how much time, energy, and emotional bandwidth you give them. Reflection point: who in your life supports your growth? Who distracts from it? Self-focus. In personal growth, invest in you. First, your greatest asset is you, and your growth is no one else's responsibility. Machiavelli admired those who constantly improve their position. Today, that means building skills, habits, and mindsets that keep you evolving, intellectually, emotionally, and physically. But here's the catch: personal growth requires intentional time and space. Without self-focus, it becomes the first thing sacrificed to deadlines, drama, or distractions. Enter the 30-day self-focus challenge. For the next month, commit to these 5 micro habits. Daily learning, 15 minutes. Read or watch something that strengthens your mind. Morning. Priority. Review 5 minutes. Look at your 3x3 goals. Mindful check-in. 2 minutes ask, what am I feeling? What needs adjusting? Evening reflection, 5 minutes. What moved me forward today? What didn't? Boundary rehearsal. Once per week, rehearse how to say no, respectfully but firmly. These habits won't transform you overnight, but they'll hardwire a pattern of self-leadership. That's where true growth begins. Navigating conflict with self-focus. Conflict is inevitable, but whether it derails you or empowers you depends on your focus. Machiavelli's rulers never entered battles they couldn't win. They understood that not every conflict is worth engaging. Some are traps, some are distractions, others are unavoidable, but even then, they fought smart, not angry. Here's a simple model for Machiavellian conflict navigation. Assess the stakes. Is this conflict relevant to your core objectives? If not, walk away. Disarm emotionally. Delay your response. Think tactically, not emotionally. Define the outcome you want. What does winning mean? Peace, progress, clarity. Act strategically. Keep your message focused. Stick to facts. Avoid escalation. Example: you're being criticized unfairly in a team meeting. A reactive response might damage your reputation. A self-focused one says, "Thanks for the feedback. I'd love to follow up one-on-one and clarify a few things." Calm, composed, and powerful. When you operate from internal alignment, even conflict becomes a tool, not a threat. Reflection point. Do you enter arguments to protect your ego or to protect your path? Practical toolkit. Applying self-focus. Daily. To stay sharp, you need tools. Here's a modern Machiavellian self-focus toolkit. Focus filters. Before any commitment, ask, is this aligned with my top 3 goals? Digital boundaries. Use screen time limits, app blockers, and scheduled no internet zones. Mental checkpoints. Every 2 hours, ask, am I in alignment with my focus or drifting? Self-focus anchor. Phrase, choose a mantra. Examples, does this move the mission forward? I don't need approval. I need results. Protect the vision. Add these tools to your daily workflow. Integrate, test, adapt. Make self-focus a system, not a mood. Here's the truth. Self-focus isn't just for mornings and goal planners. It's for meetings, relationships, conversations, crises. It's a decision you make every moment to lead your mind instead of following the crowd. And like any weapon, it becomes sharper the more you use it. Overcoming obstacles to self-focus. Every fortress has weak points. Even the most disciplined minds are vulnerable to sabotage, not from enemies outside, but from the soft whispers inside. You should feel guilty. You might offend them. You're being selfish. You're not doing enough. Machiavelli understood this well. His coldest rule, self-focus, does not survive without resistance. In fact, the stronger your self-focus grows, the more pushback you'll feel, internally and externally. This section is your shield. Here, we'll name the 4 biggest threats to self-focus and show you how to disarm each with precision. Guilt, distraction, fear of judgment, and burnout won't disappear. But, with the right strategy, they'll never break your focus again. 1. The guilt trap. Reframing responsibility. Guilt is the first weapon society uses against your focus. It tells you that prioritizing yourself is wrong, that saying no means you don't care, that carving time for your goals makes you selfish, cold, or distant. But Machiavelli would ask, whose life are you building, yours or theirs? Guilt is only powerful when you accept the false premise that self-sacrifice equals virtue. In reality, you cannot serve anyone if you are drained, distracted, and directionless. Reframe. Self-focus isn't abandonment. It's preparation. It's sharpening the blade before entering the battle. A parent who prioritizes sleep and mental clarity shows up more fully for their children. A leader who says no to every meeting has energy for the ones that matter. Try this. Every time you feel guilt for prioritizing yourself, say, I protect my peace so I can lead with purpose. Not every request is my responsibility. Reflection point. Where are you feeling guilty right now? Is it earned or imposed? 2. Distractions and overcommitment. The silent killers. Modern life is a distraction machine. Notifications, emails, endless content, dopamine loops, social pressure to do more, say yes, and always be available. The result? Your focus dies in tiny increments. Machiavelli's leaders guarded their time like territory. They didn't let trivial requests derail the mission. You shouldn't either. The fix. Conduct a distraction audit. Step 1. For 3 days, track every app you open, every time you switch tabs, every time you say yes to a meeting or task without thinking. Step 2. Categorize each. Mission, critical energy, drainer, pointless. Step 3. Eliminate one pointless and one drainer each week. Bonus strategy. Create a not-to-do list. Example, no checking email before 10 a.m., no responding to messages instantly, no unplanned meetings without an agenda. You don't rise to the level of your ambition. You fall to the level of your focus system. 3. Fear of judgment, breaking free from approval. Addiction. Let's be honest, many of us aren't distracted by what we're doing. We're distracted by what people will think of what we're doing. Machiavelli warned leaders, to act boldly, you must accept that you will be misunderstood. You may be called cold, arrogant, selfish, or obsessed. Good. That means you're living with intent. Fear of judgment is just a fear of disconnection. But if you bend your focus to be accepted by everyone, you'll be ruled by everyone and owned by no one. Mindset shift. When they judge, it says more about them than you. When you choose focus, you'll lose the crowd. But find your tribe. Not everyone deserves access to your clarity. Real-world example. An entrepreneur turns down social invitations to build her startup. Her peers think she's too intense. 2 years later, they're asking her for advice. Let them misunderstand you. Let them whisper. Clarity has always been mistaken for arrogance. Reflection point. Whose opinion is keeping you small? Would you trade your future to keep their approval? 4. Burnout and mental fatigue. Sustaining the fire. Self-focus requires energy. But in today's hustle culture, we're told that rest is weakness, that more is better, that pushing through is noble. But exhaustion isn't a badge of honor. It's a breakdown waiting to happen. Machiavellian strategy isn't about running non-stop. It's about conserving energy for decisive, high-leverage action. Kings don't run into every skirmish. They save strength for the war. The fix. Practice energy-based focus. This means designing your work around mental stamina, not just time. Try the focus block model. Break your day into 90-minute blocks of deep work. After each, take a deliberate recovery. Movement, hydration, no screens. Use the Yerkes-Dodson law. Moderate stress boosts performance, but too much kills it. Learn your stress threshold and schedule accordingly. Bonus practice, micro restorations, 3-minute eye breaks, 5-minute body scans, 10-minute silent walks. 1. No expectation hour per week. Burnout doesn't come from working hard. It comes from working blindly without rhythm, without renewal. Self-focus includes self-repair, strategic self-coaching, your daily debrief. To stay strong against these obstacles, install a daily debrief ritual, 5 minutes at the end of your day. Ask, what protected my focus today? Where did I leak time, energy, or attention? What will I defend better tomorrow? Add this to your journal, calendar, or phone notes. This ritual builds awareness, and awareness builds mastery. Bottom line, you are your first battlefield. No great strategist enters battle unaware of their weaknesses. Machiavelli knew that internal threats, fear, guilt, fatigue, are more dangerous than external ones. That's why self-focus is so rare and so powerful. But now, you're no longer unaware. You know the traps. You have the tools. You're building the fortress. In the final section, we'll bring it all together. How to master self-focus, make it a habit, and apply it daily to create lasting mental power. Because the game doesn't end when you gain focus. It begins when you learn to hold it. Mastering self-focus for mental power. Self-focus is not a one-time decision. It's a discipline, a habit, a lifestyle. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. You don't master self-focus in a day. You train for it, just like a warrior sharpens their blade every morning before battle. This final section gives you the long-term plan, the strategy to take everything you've learned and transform it into daily practice. Because mental power doesn't come from what you know. It comes from what you apply repeatedly until it becomes who you are. Building a self-focus habit. The 90-day framework. You've learned the philosophy. You've built the mechanics. Now you need structure. Use this 90-day habit-building plan to rewire your mind and install self-focus as a default operating system. Week 1 to 4. Foundation, awareness and boundaries. Journal daily, 5 minutes. Track your focus leaks. Identify what distracts you and why. Set one non-negotiable goal per day. Choose the task that most serves your core objective. Enforce one new boundary. Say no to one thing that doesn't serve your mission. Week 5 to 8. Reinforcement, clarity, and control. Begin each day with the 3x3. Review short, mid, and long-term goals. Implement a focus block ritual. At least one 90-minute block of deep work daily. Create a validation detox day. Go one full day without seeking approval or feedback. Week 9 to 12. Mastery, integration, and sustainability. Teach what you've learned. Share a concept with someone else. Teaching solidifies focus. Schedule strategic recovery. Weekly rest without guilt. Restore to sustain. Celebrate results. Review your transformation. What has changed in your clarity, output, mindset? Pro tip: don't just track tasks, track energy and alignment. Ask daily, did I feel powerful today? Why or why not? Long-term gains of self-focus. When you master self-focus, your identity changes. You're no longer reacting, you're commanding. You walk differently, speak differently, decide differently. Long-term benefits include unshakable confidence. You trust your choices. Clear decision-making, less second-guessing. Consistency under pressure because you're driven by values, not moods. Emotional resilience. Criticism doesn't derail you. Accelerated growth, focused effort, or faster returns. Machiavelli didn't admire mindless ambition. He admired strategic focus and the quiet strength of those who could outlast the noise. That's what you're building now. Your self-focus toolkit, download into your life. Use these tools daily to keep your focus sharp. Decision filter. Question: does this serve my core objectives? Boundary scripts. I'm focusing on something important right now. Thanks for understanding. Morning. Mantra. Clarity over chaos. Purpose over people-pleasing. Weekly review. Prompt: where did I protect my focus? Where did I give it away? Mental reset phrase when you get off track. Refocus, reclaim, restart. These are your internal weapons. Carry them like armor. Use them like tools. Power belongs to the focused. You've just completed a masterclass in mental warfare, guided by one of history's most controversial strategists, and sharpened by modern psychology, personal discipline, and unapologetic clarity. Let's recap what you now know. Machiavelli's philosophy teaches that power begins with internal control. Self-focus is not selfish. It's the foundation of strength. Mental discipline isn't a mindset. It's a daily strategy. Boundaries, detachment, clarity, and time mastery are your battlefield tools. Obstacles like guilt, judgment, and burnout are real, but conquerable consistency, not perfection, is the secret to lasting power. You are not here to live at the mercy of other people's expectations, energy, or noise. You are here to lead yourself. First quietly, then powerfully. The world will still try to pull you. Guilt will still whisper. Distractions will still knock. But now you have a weapon. Focus sharpened into strategy. You are no longer just surviving. You're directing, choosing, commanding. Like a Machiavellian strategist, you act not from emotion, but from vision. So ask yourself now, as you close this lesson, what will you protect? What will you prioritize? And who will you become when your focus is finally your own? Because the truth is this: you don't need permission to take back your mind. You just need the discipline to focus and the courage to begin.